Hello and welcome. Today I am going to be working with the My Monthly Hero May kit. I'm really sorry I skipped over April. I just didn't have a free second in that month to get that one done, and I'm down to the wire on this one as well. But this kit's pretty awesome. I really like the silhouettes. Whenever I see the silhouettes, I always think about backgrounds, so I kind of brainstorm some ideas that I haven't tried in a really long time. So let's get to it. Let's see what we got. The first idea I had was to create a shaving cream background. So I went through and grabbed a bunch of re-inkers of different shades of blue. Not 100% sure which ones I'm going to use yet. I picked up a really cheap can of shaving cream at Walmart. And what we're going to do is, whoops, I guess we're going to shake it up a little bit. Is I'm going to put a layer of shaving cream down. Now, you don't want it to be super thick. Clean off the can there. But you do want it to be able to cover a whole front of a card, like an A2 size card. And then we're going to pick some colors to put in here, some drops of it. This is not quite navy from Stampin' Up. Most of these are Stampin' Up colors. I picked blues because I want it to look like a sky background. The stamp set lends itself really well to sky, like the background looking like a sky. So we did not quite navy. Let's do some really light blue. Here's Bashful Blue. This has been retired forever. Let's do some Baja Breeze. And I haven't done this technique in, like, with no exaggeration, in 10 years. So hopefully I remember how to do this. And let's get a little bit of Pool Party in here just for a really light blue. And one of the things, I might only use one of these cards for the Hero Arts kit, but I'm going to make a couple backgrounds here. Because if you're going to get all this out, it's worth doing this a couple times. Okay, I went and found a popsicle stick because you want something that's going to be wide enough to kind of drag the colors around. You don't want to mix them all up. You just want to kind of create like this swirly pattern. And my little pokey tool to get the paper out of my dies wasn't thick enough to really make a difference. There we go. Cut a bunch of A2 size cards. I can always cut these down later. And I'm just going to mash this into the shaving cream. And then I'm going to pull this up. Set this aside just for a second. And I'm going to use, this is actually my old AAA card, to scrape the background off. The excess, I should say. It's kind of neat. Cool looking. I kind of wonder, I have a blank spot here, if I can manipulate this a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to set this aside to dry. And then I'm going to wipe off my scraping tool. You definitely want to make sure you have some paper towels nearby. And I'm going to do this 3 or 4 more times until I want to make sure I use as much of this re-inking as I can. And I might not use all these backgrounds for this card kit. I don't know. We'll see as I go. I have really no plan, as always. I just sat down and just started playing. But I definitely don't want to waste all this effort. Cool. Okay, so I might have gone a little bit overboard, but I continued to play with just what I really had there. And I ended up making 16 backgrounds. Some of them I love, like this one. I think this one might be my favorite. Some of them are just okay. Like I don't like this part here, but I might cut that piece out or whatever. I mean, you kind of have to accept that you don't have a whole lot of control when you're doing it. So, I mean, not everyone's going to be a winner, but then I did add a smidgen of red at the very end, and I thought just to see what would happen. And so I have a bunch of red ones too, like that one I love. Again, I'm not going to use all of these for this card video, but I figured, you know what, I have them in my stash now, they're done, and this way I don't have to get the stuff out to do it again. And it really took very little shaving cream and just a little bit of re-inkers, and it was a lot of fun actually to play with it. So that's our background. I think I'm going to die cut some pieces to see what card number 1 looks like. I don't even have a plan, so I'm going to sit and think a second and see what I'm going to do. All right, I think I have a plan for card number 1. I chose this panel that I made. It does have a little red in it, but it doesn't matter because this is going to cover that up, and you can only see a smidgen of the red. If you have to look in the little gaps here, so I'm not too worried about it. But I picked this one because it had a lot of white in it, and I thought the white looked like clouds, and they were in the spots that I needed them to shine through this hole. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is use my scissors to trim out this little section of the die. I like that they gave us that option to do that. And then in my mini Misty, I'm going to line up this panel so I can stamp the little girl that's on the swing in their correct spot. So I think that looks good. So I'm just going to lift up the silhouette part, use my magnet to hold this in place, and then pick up and stamp. And I'm going to use VersaFine because I think it's the best black in my opinion. And I love that Misty allows us to stamp this more than once to get a good impression. Looks good, so I'm going to take all this out of the Misty and set this aside. I'm going to clean her off and put her away. My desk is as messy as ever. I'm starting to think that's just part of my creative process. All right, and then the last step is to figure out what sentiment I want to put on here. I'm loving this background. Yes. I did put some black fun foam on the back of this so that it's raised up a little bit to give a little dimension to the card. So let's play around with some sentiments and see what we find, if we like any. I'm just using the grid lines on my Misty to make sure that I'm stamping it straight and it looks okay. Give that a second to dry. Next step is going to be adhering the panel to an A2. I made my card side fold, but I don't think it matters. You could do either for this style of card. Very simple card. I really like the shaving cream background. I hope that you like that. It's kind of hard to pick up on the camera. I will put pictures of all these on my blog, so if you want a closer look at any one card, you can do that. But there we go. There's card number 1. Number 2, I'm going to use pan pastels. This is what they look like. These are artist grade pans of pigment, and you can stamp on top of them, which is kind of a cool feature. So I pulled out my blues and pinks, and this is a little bit more controlled than what we did on the last card. And I'm going to kind of create a sky here, or attempt to create a sky here. So I'm going to start off with light purple and some blues, and I'm slowly building up color. Right now, it looks like there's nothing on the page because it jumps. See, now I just jumped to a darker color and see how much darker it is. It's not a slow gradient, it jumps really high. So I'm just doing a wash of like blues and purples. Let's do it a little bit darker. And just slowly working my way up in color. And add some more purple. And I don't want it to be super even because skies are not even. There's lots of colors in a sky. I'm adding a little bit of pink. It's a real deep pink. If you didn't have pan pastels and you didn't want to invest in them, you could do the same thing with your chalks. This is a much softer background than card number 1. Around the edges, I'm darkening it up a little bit. Kind of gives it a vignette look. All right. I'm adding a little bit of peach just to make it look like it might be close to dusk or sunset. The camera is not doing this justice, that's for sure. Hopefully the finished product will allow you to see this a little more. Cool. I'm going to add just a smidgen more purple. And I'm not sure I'm going to use white, but I cut this kind of as a guide to see what it looks like, and I like the blue it fades up to like a purple. All right, I used a penny black die to cut this down into a frame. I think the penny black die is called Torn Edges. And now I'm going to put this into the Misty for some stamping. And because of the way these stamps are designed, they're going to have to be stamped in stages. So the first thing, right on the edge, I am going to stamp the tree trunk. And I'm going to do all of this in VersaFine. And I'm going to line up a branch, and I'm going to overlap them a little bit. Do you see how just so to make sure that it looks like the branch is connected to the tree. And I'm going to add the swing. You could pick any character you wanted. I picked the other girl just to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to slide this up into the middle, and this way I can stamp the grass. And because VersaFine takes a second to dry, I'm going to set this aside. I am going to take a black marker and I'm going to color in little areas here, like I'm going to extend the trunk up so it goes all the way to the top. And then at the bottom here, there's little pieces that are still purple in the grass. I'll use a black marker to cover those up, but I'm going to wait until it dries to do that. So let's set this aside. All right, so our panel is dry, and I cut a quarter sheet, an A2 size panel, and I'm going to glue that on a side folding cardstock. I also tied a white ribbon around it. I'm going to put some glue on the back of this panel, and then I'm going to slide it under the ribbon so that the sentiment still shows. And then I can play with the size of the bow if I need to. I like that ribbon because it anchors the panel to the card so it's not just floating. And it also doesn't really cover up any of that panel that we created, so I like it. I don't think the camera really does the panel justice, but hopefully the pictures will. But it's a soft coloring of blue and purple in the sky. And there's a tiny bit of glitter in that pan pastel, so that's kind of neat too. So it just has a little bit of a shimmer to it. But there you go, there's card number 2. Alright, for card number 3, I die cut a panel. This is a die by Gina Marie. Any die you have would work, I'm sure. And I have a stencil, a cloud stencil, and I am going to go ahead and add some clouds to this panel to create a background. And I'm just sponging on some blue ink over the stencil, and it leaves a background behind like that. And then just so it doesn't look monotonous, I'm going to turn it so we have a different pattern. And I'm going to continue with this all the way up the card. And there we go. Now we have a pretty cloud background. I'm going to get the Misty out again. And I'm doing this, I like stamping with the Misty period, but it really is important to me to do it with these clear stamps, especially because they're new, and I think they need to be stamped a couple times to get a good impression. But I wanted to try and see what either the kite or the kid riding the bike, or both, or some variation of that, look like on this card. And I think I'm going to put some grass at the bottom. I think that looks pretty good. So let's clean this off and get rid of the grass. And let's see, play a little bit with the placement of these. But I'm thinking I like this little boy running with the kite. And my decision is, do I also want to put like a bike, you know, the kid biking as well, or just leave it very simple. Okay, I was kind of playing around with where I wanted the sentiment to sit. This is a die from the Hero Arts. I always get my months confused. 2 kits ago, the one with all the sayings, it was like all words. This die's from that set. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut hello out of here first. And I'm going to be sure to save the inside of the O and the E and the 2 L's, I think, and the H, all the inside parts, so I can glue those back in, so it creates kind of like a negative space sentiment. All right, so I've die cut hello. On my cutting plate, I saved all my little bits, so if I need to add anything, I can. I decided that I think I'm gonna stamp this guy running, and his kite is following behind. And then I'm going to add this sub-sentiment that says my friend. I believe this is from, oh gosh guys, I don't know. It's from a stamp set I've had for ages. I just went through and found one that said my friend. That stamp set that came from Here Where it said a great friend, and I didn't want it to be that long of a sentiment, so I changed it to, I just went through until I found one that said my friend. Pretty sure it's not Stampin' Up, but I'm not sure exactly who makes it. So first I'm stamping my kit, my kid, not my kit. Alright. Put the guy back. Now we'll line up the flag, or the kite. Apparently my mouth and my brain are not connected today. Originally I was planning on putting this onto a white card base. I'll show you what that looks like. But I feel like you lose that really pretty border around the edge. So I thought, well, I wonder if I put it on a blue card base. And I actually think I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to use the little pieces that came out of the die cut to put them back in so that the hello looks a little bit more complete. And I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch all the little parts of this. Okay, I've got all those little bits glued in. That's actually a lot easier than it looks as long as you keep all the pieces kind of where they were on the cutting plate and do it pretty, soon after you cut so you don't forget where they go. I hope you really like this card. This is actually turning out to be one of my favorites. I really like Clean and Simple. If I can keep my fingerprints off of it. But I think we got most of them anyway. So here we go. Here's card number 3. Alright, for card number 4, I pulled out some distress inks. I pulled out Mowed Lawn, Mermaid Lagoon, and Blueprint Sketch. And I have a white panel that's cut for A2. And I'm going to do a little bit of sponging on this. It occurred to me that Father's Day is right around the corner and I need a card. So my hope is that this will be my Father's Day card. And I'm not too worried because my dad is not very computer savvy. So I'm pretty sure he will not be on YouTube watching this video. So I just want to have a little bit of grass there at the bottom, Blueprint Sketch at the top, and work my way down. And I'm not too worried this isn't blending super well because I'm going to use some water on here to blend it even more. And then let's go ahead and add some Mermaid Lagoon in. And I'm kind of trying to make like a summery scene here. I didn't want it to feel Christmassy, which I'll explain here a little bit, like when you see what I'm going to do here. I was kind of worried that the dye that I'm going to use, I mostly use it during Christmas time, so I didn't want it to feel Christmassy at all. Alright, so that's horribly blended, but that's okay. I just wanted to get the color down at the moment. I'm going to bring the Blueprint Sketch down a little farther. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to snip the swing out. I don't need the swing. And as you probably figured out, I die cut the frame out of white cardstock. And my plan is to place it over this panel that we're creating. But before we do that, I'm going to take a baby wipe. And I found that baby wipes are like the perfect blending tool here. If I just go over it a little bit, it helps soften it just enough. And I can always go back if it softens too much, because that one little spot's a little weird. I can go ahead and add more color, but I really like the way that it looks. It takes away those little circle marks. And there we go. Then I also die cut this guy. I use him on a lot of Christmas cards, but I thought for Father's Day, inserting a little deer in here, I think would work. And it would look springy but not Christmassy, as long as we didn't include red and green. And there we go. Debating about whether or not to pop this up a little bit. I think I might. So let me go get some white foam. Okay, so I've got the card glued together, and I decided the foam dots were a great idea. I love the dimension this creates. And that baby wipe, if you can see, like, it took out all those little marks. So that is my definite trick. So far I've had really good luck with it. I mean, you don't want it to be sopping wet, but you want it to be moist. So then my next question comes is, how do I want to position this deer? Do I want to pop them up? I think I'm going to have the deer kind of put the one hoof in front, just so it looks like, or maybe both. Oh nope, they're connected. Let's see. Yeah, I think one hoof in front is enough, and I might glue the rest down flat. I like that idea, so let's do that. So I kind of had wished I had done this before I glued it all together, but I didn't really think of it. I went through my stamps and I found a stamp that says Happy Father's Day. So I'm going to stamp that inside here with black ink. And there we go. So let's get the Misty out. And I'm hoping, even though I pop this up, it'll still be fairly easy to do. Alright, here we go. This is card number 4. I really like this frame. Happy Father's Day. Alright, for card number 5, I have another card front, and I'm going to take, I'm using a really light blue ink and a branch stamp to stamp a pattern of just leafy. I don't want it to look like a tree. I just want it to break up the white, kind of create the sense of just leaves and outside. Oh, I smudged pretty bad. You know what? I think it'll be okay. Alright, we're going to keep going. I'm going to just do this one side and then switch to the other branch, because I think my element of my card is going to sit right where that smudge is, so I'm not too worried about it. Alright, so I'm going to switch to the other branch in the stamp set. Okay, I die cut a square, and it has like a, it's not stitched, but like a pierced edge. It's from My Favorite Things. Any square would work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my Misty. Maybe. And I'm going to stamp this branch across the top of this pan. I thought it would be fun to use the little boy this time. So I'm going to put the little boy, hopefully without smearing my branch, I had a couple ideas. One was to put the dog down here, but I actually feel like that's too much, and I think I'm just gonna not do that. So let's put, let's see. Let's put it on the card panel and see if we need to add the grass. I gotta remember where I set the card panel. I'm undecided. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find in a card base. I'm debating between blue and white, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull out a coordinating sheet of blue and see what that looks like with these blue leaves here. And let's see where we're at. All right, I did a little bit of playing around and I have an idea. I don't know. I liked it better on blue. I just think it kind of pulls the rest of it together. It was too much white. So what I think I'm going to do is I cut another mat with a pinking sheer edge to kind of frame that off, and I like that the way it is. So I'm not going to put the grass on that piece. So I'm just going to glue this together and let this dry. I'm not sure 100% who the pinking edge dye is from, but I think it is my favorite things. Then I was thinking on this panel that maybe I would put the grass down here, and that would kind of tie this panel together. And it's not something I would normally do, but I'm thinking about it. I think I'm going to give it a try. You never try, never know. So let's put the Misty, or get the Misty back out. That dry. Pulled out a couple stamps and see what we think. I think I'm going to start with the grass, and I'm going to stamp the grass all the way along the bottom. I wish they made this a little longer, only because then you could stamp across the entire bottom of the card. But we're going to have to move the stamp probably. Pulled out the dog stamp because that was originally what I was thinking about using. I wanted to use him on a card. And then I pulled out this little butterfly, and I thought I could stamp a couple of these butterflies. The other option is, instead of the dog, to stamp the bike. Wish you guys were here to give me opinions. Let's go with the bike. We'll use the dog on another card. Not sure if I'll use the butterfly yet or not. I mostly like it. I feel like it's missing something though. Well, let me get my black pen and clean up the bottom of this edge, and then we'll make some decisions about this butterfly. Okay, so I cleaned up the bottom of my edge. I also put some fun foam on the back of this, and I'm going to glue it down here. But before I do that, I decided not to use the butterfly. I don't know, it just didn't feel quite right to me. But what I'm going to do is use the squirrel. Or at least I hope I'm going to use the squirrel. Sometimes you should leave well enough alone, but I don't, you know, stamping is about learning and having fun and playing around too, so I figured this is a great opportunity to do all that. I'm trying to put my magnet in a place that's not on the bottom here because I don't think that's completely dry yet. So I'm trying to find a place to kind of hide this, but yet where I can still set this in a good spot, maybe. And I'm going to try to make it look like the squirrel is standing on the two edges of the what is it called? The pinking edge of the frame. Okay. I think we did it. All right, so let's glue this panel down. All right, here is card number 5. I really like the illusion of that squirrel standing on top of the frame. I think it pulls the whole scene together. Pretty cool. All right, for card number 6, I used something called Glimmer Mist to create a background. Glimmer Mist is, let me show you the bottle. All right, to create these panels, I use something called Glimmer Mist. This is what it looks like. I found some at Hobby Lobby and I really liked it, so I ordered a few more colors. You have to shake it up really well because all the stuff settles into the bottom of the bottle. But I also highly recommend, because when it sprays, it kind of just goes everywhere, that you want to do it someplace that's easy to clean up. And this space right here was not easy to clean up. So actually, I went outside this morning and I sprayed a bunch of pieces of paper, and I realized the camera is not picking this up at all. This is really, really glittery. I wish camera picked up glitter the way our eyes do. But I sprayed a bunch of pieces of paper, and each one is truly different. And this one to me just looks like under the water. I think I might save this for a mermaid card. I don't know if any of that shine is picking up, but it's one of those things you can't control. You kind of get what you get when you do it, but the look is kind of neat. So it's one of those things too, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do a bunch of them, and then I just save them, and then as I have projects, I just can pull these out and use them as I go. I think I'm gonna use one of these two. I haven't decided which one yet on this next card for card number 6. I'm going to save these for another day. I'm going to take, these were 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panels. I think I'm going to cut this in half. So let me think a little bit. I think I like this one. And I think I'm going to cut this one in half. And I'll be back. Okay, I kind of have this mapped out a little bit. I cut that 4 1/4 panel in half, and so now I have 2 strips. I'm going to set one aside. I'm going to make 2 cards at once the exact same way because I have 2 pieces. I also cut a mat for each strip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the card in my MISTI. And I'm going to lay this down kind of where I imagine it going, like here. I want to make sure that I'm leaving enough room for my sentiment on this side here. I might even pull it over a little more, just so it doesn't feel so crowded. All right. So now that that's there, I'm going to lay the branch over where I imagine it going, like here. I think that looks about right. That look okay to you? All right. So let's close our MISTI door and pick up our branch. We can also pick up our sentiment, that's fine. Then we're going to move this out of the way. And then with VersaFine ink, I'm going to stamp my branch. Now I'm going to kind of put down a piece of acetate over this because I don't want to get ink in my card anymore. I might put it even under my magnet. Kind of hoping I don't. I should wait for the VersaFine to dry, but you gotta live on the edge, right? And now I'm going to kind of push this panel back to where I want it. And I'm going to take the black out. Just want to make sure I have enough room for the mat. I think that looks good. And I'm going to swing my magnet over that. And then ink my branch up again. I guess I didn't need to clean it, but better safe than sorry. And now we're going to stamp the branch on top of our Glimmer Mist paper. Very cool. All right, so now we're done with the branch, so let's clean that up and get rid of that. Add in our girl. It would look like the branch was continuous, you know, from the back of the card to the front of the card. And I was kind of debating on whether or not I should add more branches than just the one. I'm still on the fence about that. What do you guys think? Okay, it's only been a few minutes. I'm not sure these are 100% dry, but one of the things I decided to do is make the mat on the strip a little narrower. I decided that I only wanted to have really thin borders on the edge of this panel so that you get more of the effect of the branch in the background. So I'm going to glue my panel down to the black. Okay, so these are both dry, and I stamped a sentiment on the second one. I decided to do Thinking of You just so I had a little bit of variety in my card stash. I debated about putting some sequins or something on this, but honestly, and I know you can't pick this up, but there's enough shimmer in this paper, they don't call it glitter mist for nothing, that I actually think it would take away from it. I kind of laid a couple sequins on there and I was like, the glitter paper is more than enough embellishment, I think, on this card. So this is card number 6. I hope you like the simplicity of it. And let's move on to card number 7. All right, for card number 7, I grabbed 2 pieces of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch glossy cardstock. I'm going to make a background using alcohol inks. And if you're unfamiliar with these are different than Copic inks. These are sold by Ranger in these little bottles, and they come in a bunch of different colors, and you're able to create some backgrounds. And I think I'm going to do one in warm colors and one in cool colors. And I'm going to try to kind of create a sky feeling to this. So I'm just going to put some on my applicator. Let's start with my cool colors here. I'm trying to push myself by doing warm colors. I think every card I've made so far has been in blues, which I'm okay with, but just to kind of increase the variety a little bit. I think I'm going to leave off the darkest one. I can always come back and add it. And I am going to mash this into my paper. I don't know, mash is probably not the right word. Yeah, it's dark enough without using that dark blue, but I kind of just wanted a little bit of kind of like a sky, some streaks. I might add to that. So I'm going to set that aside for now. And I'm going to do the same thing with warm colors. Okay, so I pulled out, I have a couple of additives, and I have silver, and I thought, I wonder what a little bit of silver mixed in with the blue would look like. Hopefully this is not overkill. I have no idea what to expect. So, let's see what we get here as we do it. I'm hoping for just like a little, oh, that's kind of cool. Again, I wish you guys could come to my house. You should just come in and just live in the basement and look at these cards, because this added some shimmer to it. Again, I don't think the camera's going to pick this up. It's just a real light, it's really cool. I might add just a little more to it. It's kind of neat. You can continue to work this a million times over, so it's really hard to mess this up. I don't know, I tried to put it on a little thicker. I think you can see in certain areas these like streaks of silver. So it just kind of gives it another layer of dimension to this. Okay, so let's set that aside to dry. And then I thought to the, this one, I had gold, and I thought about it, and I'm still thinking about it. But I also found pearl, and I thought, I wonder what pearl looks like. And I'm not even going to bother to change my applicators here, because if I get a little silver in here, who cares? So let's see what pearl looks like. Oh, that is so cool. I don't know if you guys can see this at all. One thing I don't like about this is it kind of pulled a little bit on the sides, but we'll just keep working that. I don't know, can you see that at all? I don't know. It has now kind of a, I would guess, pearl and a little bit of silver. And why not go for gold? Ha ha ha. Gotta love me. Oh, maybe my gold is plugged up. Uh-oh. Maybe it's the card gods telling me to stop. Okay, we'll deal with this later and we'll skip gold. Alright, so we have a warm and a cool tone alcohol background. Let's see what we can do with these. Okay, so here's kind of what I planned out. I used a die from my from Paper Tray Ink to cut the frame. I used a grass die from Lawn Fawn to cut the grass, and I trimmed my panel down to be 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have a top folding note card and then a mat to go on top of that. And I'm thinking I'm going to do all my stamping up here. So let's see what we've got. Let's put this aside. I might use all the grass in there because that little girl looked funny. Because the grass blades are so big. This is the only grass die I had. And I thought that the stamped grass at the bottom wouldn't be big enough to make a point. Alright, so I don't think that's going to work. That's too bad. Alright, so let's try the kid on the bike, but I don't think that's going to work either. I think the grass is going to be like as tall as he is. I'm going to go ride through the meadow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that works. So I think we're going to go back to my original thought and put the branch back. And I think this time I'm going to use this girl. And what words do we want to put on here? I think I can stamp these two together. So we'll pick these up. And then we will move these black. Oh, there's my grass die from Lawn Fun. If you ever need to find a die, a magnet is a great way to do it. Alright, we can move this. Let's put this back on here. And let's take some VersaFine. A little bit. If you ever stamp on alcohol ink, it does work. You just have to stamp it a couple times, I think, to get a real solid black, or I should say glossy paper. I don't really think the alcohol ink has anything to do with it. It's just that the glossy paper has a coating on it so that the ink can't soak in. And sometimes, like here, when you pull the stamp up, it actually pulls the ink up. And you get these little peaks of ink on your paper. So by stamping, or actually just holding it down and letting the ink soak in, it just takes longer than it does with like regular cardstock. So the more you know. See how we're doing. See, there we go. And so now it's kind of smooth and it looks fine. We just needed to give it a second. So if you do this at home, have patience. Alright friends, I'm back. Things are dry, so I wanted to show you what they look like. I also took the orange one and made a card as well. So we have the orange version and the blue version. Personally, I think I like the blue version better. If I were to do this again, I think I would do this in black. I don't know, tell me what you think, see how you feel about it. The white certainly brightens it up, it makes it more cheery. But I really like the traditional black silhouette version. We'll see here. I actually cut the pieces and I might even glue them on top of the white. Yeah, I think I might do that. so we're going to do a little card CPR. I'm going to set the blue version aside so I don't happen to get stuff all over it. And I'm going to take my scissors, and all I'm going to do is pull these up and snip off. I'm going to mow my lawn because I don't want these little white ones to stick up over the black because I think that'll look weird. If you voted that you like the white one, I'm sorry. Totally pretending like that doesn't exist. And I'm going to stick that right on top of the white frame. And I'll set that aside to dry. So for card number 7, we have the orange version. Yeah, like that much better. And the black version. I like both of these cards a lot. These are pretty cool. I can see myself making more of these as we go. Very cool. All right, for card number 8, I thought I'd try something new, something I've never done before, and doing that on camera is always the best idea. But not too long ago, Split Coast Stamps had a tutorial on how to make backgrounds with nail polish. So I thought, let's give it a try. So I have a tub here of just water, and it said to drop some colors of nail polish in the water. So I did like a blue, and this is like a really light purple. I don't know if there's enough contrast between the two, but hopefully. I'm still kind of trying to keep with the blue theme that I've got going on here with these cards. And then I have some purple, which is a lot darker, so I'm going to do only a little bit of purple. Maybe a little more. I forgot how much nail polish smells. And then I think let's mix this up. And I shouldn't say mix. You're supposed to take a tool and kind of swirl your colors around, and I'm thinking I don't have enough is what I'm thinking here as I'm looking at this. There's a glob on the bottom. And I went to the store and bought the cheapest, like $1 a piece nail polish colors. I'm not sure if that's going to make a difference, if it's supposed to be quality nail polish or the cheapest stuff you can find. I think I'm just going to add some more. So I'm going to go through my colors again. Looks pretty good. And then I have just plain white cardstock cut down to A2. And I'm going to dip it in and pull it out. And it gives you a colored background. And both sides should be colored, but only one is. That's fine. I have a mat here next to my table. I'm going to set these to dry. Let's see how many we can do. It's actually a really cool effect. I will warn you that this does smell. I forgot how much nail polish smells. I don't usually wear nail polish because I just end up chipping it off, but it's really neat the way it goes onto the paper, and I like that each one's different. Okay, so the panels that I made earlier are finally dry. I thought I'd give you guys a look. I actually really like them. There's the ones that I put the silver nail polish in have this like shimmer to them, which is really kind of cool. I love that they're all different. Here are 2 of them. I ended up making 12 in total, and again, I like to just make them because I have all this stuff out and then I can put them in a base. Here was a lesson learned. I tried to take a towel and wipe away like a clump that was right here, and it kind of made this smeared thing. So I think I'm gonna, on this one, I'm gonna cut this off and just use this portion of it. So here's just what they look like. Just a bunch of different designs. I like all the colors. There's not really one that I don't like. I like that there's a large variation. I mean, there's no two that look the same. That is so cool. So, all right, so those are the ones that I have. I think that I'm going to use one of these two here. I'm not really sure which. My thought was I'm going to trim them down, and I want to cut a heart out. I don't know about stamping on top of this. I think in some places that would hold ink, in some places it wouldn't. So instead of ruining my panel, I think what I'm going to do is, I think I might cut a heart and put it on top. Not really sure here, but I am going to cut these down to 4 and 5 1/4 so I can mat them on a cardstock base. All right, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'll come back. All right, I finished card number 8. My battery died in the end of that, but I think you saw that I changed it out for the black title. I did the butterflies the same, and I added 3 rhinestones just to add a little bit of sparkle to this card because it is fairly simple. But I really like the colors. I like the background. Is it my favorite card ever? No, but I like it. It's good. I would do this technique again. So if you have any nail polish laying around, I suggest giving it a try. All right, for card number 9, I wanted to try another way of making backgrounds. So what I did was I put a little bit of Nouveau mousse onto a watercoloring board, and I'm adding a bunch of water because I'm going to watercolor with it. I want to make like a watercolor wash. And what I have is just a regular old paintbrush, nothing special about it. And I'm just mixing the water in, and it is really runny. And again, I'm going to make a bunch of cards all at the same time and use up whatever I have on my palette. But I'm just going to start painting this on real thin, and I just keep adding water as needed. And now I'm starting to go into the medium blue. And then I'm going to add some purple here at the bottom. And if you've never used this stuff, I love it. It's fairly new to me, but I love the look. This is by far my favorite way to make backgrounds lately. I was saving this to the end because I thought I'd get tired, and at least I had something to look forward to. Is that a horrible thing to say? But it leaves this really cool pearlescent, sparkly background. And I'm going to set this aside to dry. It's not sopping wet. It'll probably dry pretty fast, but I want it to dry nonetheless. All right, let's do another one. Let's see. Okay, I'm back. They're mostly dry, it was only been about 10 minutes, but I feel mostly dry. Just wanted to show you a few. Again, I know the camera's not doing these justice. There's a shimmer to them, almost like you had sprayed it with shimmer spritz. Here is the one I smooshed and I cleaned up my mess. I did 2. This was the first one. It has most of the pigment and was able to get the globs. And then once this was done, there was very little left. But I said, you know what? Why not? So I threw another piece of paper on top. And you know what? I think it's usable. I like this one. It's kind of different. I like the little stripes in it. I like the gradient. Very pretty. Again, I'm going to speed through these because I don't know how much you can see out of this. So, and then I did one more that I already die cut. So here we go. I die cut using the oval out of this one that I decided I'm going to use. So let me set these aside. And my thought was, I think I'm not going to use this piece. I think I'm going to do my stamping on the oval. So let's get my mini Misty out. Let's see, I did the little boy in the kite, and now I wanted to try the little girl with the kite. and see what that was like. All right, inking up the grass with VersaFine. Okay, so I cut a purple mat, a top folding white note card. I trimmed the bottom of this off, and I'm going to trim the side of this off in a second. I went through my stash and I found this background by Impression Obsessions. It's called Vines, and I thought it matched the feel of this kit pretty well. And I'm going to ink purple on purple, so I'm using the same color ink as the paper. And I'm going to ink this background up. Set this aside. New piece of, and let's see how this looks. It's actually a little more intense than I was imagining, but it might be okay. I think it's okay. Okay, I think I missed the recording a little bit. What I did was I stamped the Thinking of You in VersaFine ink, and I've been debating a little bit about what I want to do with these hearts. I've committed, I guess, to these two. I've glued them down, and this one I can't really decide exactly where, but I think I'm going to stick it right here. I don't know. Oops. And if you have an opinion, I'd love to hear it, because next time I'm doing something like this, I'll have your voice in my head, and you never know. Maybe I'll take you up on your suggestion. I think I am going to stick it more kind of where I originally had it. Just seems to fit. Oh, it's kind of too even with that other one. It's too late. Glue's down. Alright, I wouldn't have put them even. I would have put it up a little higher. I didn't realize I was doing that. Let's try to move this one down a little one and this one up. Alright, for card number 10, I always try to do something a little bit different. And I saw some people making slider cards and whatnot, and shaker cards, and I was like, well, I don't want to do that because it's already been done. So I decided to make a window card, which I made one of these a while ago. Let's see if I learned anything from the last time. I've already die cut the frame out of a black piece of cardstock and cut the swing off, and I have a sheet of acetate that I'm going to put into the Misty. And I'm going to do the girl swinging. And I'm using the frame to help me decide where to put her. I think that's good. And you need to use Stays On ink when you stamp on acetate. It's an absolute must. VersaFine will not work. I don't know of any other ink besides Stays On that works. If you know, let me know. Okay, I die cut a few more things. I took a card base and I die cut the frame out of it. I still have the other frame that we cut earlier, and I actually sprayed it with Glimmer mist. I actually love, love, love. I've never sprayed that on black before. This is gonna get glued here when it's all said and done. We're gonna put the acetate between these layers. But before we do that, I want to stamp the sentiment and anything else that we want to put on the inside of the card. So what I did was, and be careful not to smudge her, I laid her over where I think she's going to rest on the card, and I placed the sentiment Thinking of You where I wanted it. I really wanted to use that swinging by to say hello. Unfortunately, it just doesn't fit in this frame if you put a swing in there. At least I couldn't do it. Maybe other people did it. I'll go check later. But for now, I'm just going to use Thinking of You. And on the inside of this card, I glued a piece of blue cardstock. And can we just talk about this for a second. I think this is beautiful on its own. Sometimes I think we get so carried away, and I admit I did. I was like, oh, I have to make all these backgrounds and blah, blah. This is simple, and it's so elegant. That soft blue with the black silhouette on it. So, I don't know. What are you going to do? It is what it is, but this is so simple. I can see making more of this already. All right, and then on the inside, I think I'm going to put some branches at the top of this card. So I'm going to open this up. I might add another little branch here. Or maybe, how does the squirrel fit? Ooh, what a cool idea. I really like this squirrel. It's a stamp that I don't have in my collection. And I love that he's so cute. Cool, that just adds a little something. I like that. Good work, Hero Arts. Using her to see. Sorry, I got off camera there a little bit. So I kind of, she's going to go on top, but I wanted to see where she is resting on the blue to see if I wanted to stamp any other additional images at the bottom. Kind of like that. Maybe I'll do that. I'll put the grass here just to kind of connect all this together. I really do wish. Hero Arts, if you ever watch these, you should have made your grass a smidgen longer. But it's okay. We'll figure it out. Just put the little boy on the bike. I can get behind the little boy with the bike. Let's do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I have one other creative decision to make. I'm definitely putting this acetate on, like so. I also die cut a white frame, and I was thinking about offsetting this a little bit and then putting this on top. Just add another little pop of color, and I kind of like that. It's just different. What do you guys think? Looks like it adds more depth to the card. I think we're gonna try it. I've never done that before, so let's see where we're at. Okay, so I'm gonna get some red line tape. And here's card number 10. I really like how this turned out. I hope you do too. I hope you found this video inspiring and you get your kit out and use it soon. I really think this is one of the best Hero Arts kits. I probably say that every month. I really like the Hero Arts kits. I enjoy using them. I like that they push me to be more creative. Good news is my husband is saying he's making another video. I haven't seen him start it yet, so I'm not sure exactly when that's coming, but he is working, he says he's working on his own card for this video. Create. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for leaving a comment. It really does mean a lot to me. I read them all. It really just helps me understand what you guys are looking for, so I know what to do next time. So tell me what your favorite is, tell me what your least favorite is, whatever that may be. I am going to do an additional video this month. It will be posting here in the next day or so. I teach a stamp convention once a year in Akron, Ohio, and on the Saturday after that, they have like a vendor show where all the vendors can sell their stamps and people come in and shop. It's huge. There's got to be thousands of people there. And I found a new company. And it's a very small company. They're fairly new. It's family owned. And I picked up, I don't know, about 10 of the stamp sets of theirs. And I have fallen in love with this sailboat. So I thought I'd show you on some of the backgrounds I created, some of the cards I made. And they're very simple, but I love them. They work for so many occasions. Here's the sailboat. This is on alcohol, glossy paper with alcohol inks. This is a Nouveau mousse background. Here is another alcohol inks with the warm colors. Very similar to what we did in our kit tonight. Here is a Glimmer mist. I just used more of the pink than I did the blue for this background. And here is another alcohol ink background. The one thing that's really cool about this stamp set is that you can stamp it either way. It can go portrait, it can also go landscape. If you have interest in this, I really hope you'll check out the video. I'm going to show you another way to make another type of background. I just ran out of cards for the Hero Art kit, so I thought, oh, this would be a perfect opportunity to try something new. I've never tried it, so we'll see how it goes. So I hope you'll check it out, and I will see you guys next month.
Don't you know?